who was a member of this City Council for 23 years and Lord Mayor in 1970 to 71. And I ask you to stand in silence in remembrance of him for a moment. Thank you very much.
Report that at by-elections held on the 4th of May, Councillor Malik Mohammed Salim was elected to fill a casual vacancy in the office of Councillor for the Spinney Hill Ward, and Councillor Arnold Edward Gibbons was elected to fill a casual vacancy in the office of Councillor for the East Knighton Ward. I can also report that both members have made the declaration of acceptance of office in accordance with Section 83 of the Local Government Act 1972.
Lord Mayor, great pleasure in introducing Councillor Malik Salim.
received on the 9th of May the resignation of Councillor Lee. And I have to state that the by-election to fill the resulting vacancy in the office of Councillor for the Charnwood ward will take place on Thursday, the 15th of June.
The next item of business is the election of a member of the council as Lord Mayor for the next municipal year. May I have a nomination, please?
My Lord Mayor, I have great pleasure in moving that Councillor David Anthony Taylor be elected to the office as Lord Mayor of the city for the ensuing year. Lord Mayor, nearly 40 years ago, a very young man took to the stage in front of an enthusiastic, packed audience of mums and dads and friends at the Co-op Hall in Leicester, and in the words of showbiz, brought the house down. This was much to the amazement of his song and dance teacher, as the young performer forgot half the lyrics and made them up, forgot the dance routine and made it up, and the song, Don't Laugh at Me Because I'm a Fool. That young boy had got the taste of the entertainment world as he exited to tremendous applause. Yes, it was David Anthony Taylor, born on the 20th of June 1940, the only son of Breamy and Alf Taylor. They lived then in Cannon Street before moving to a corner shop in Carley Street, which is just off Wharf Street. David helped his mum in the shop. He used to cut up cheese and weigh sugar. He helped out because his mum at that time was not well, and his father, with his work, was travelling around the country. He began to learn what hard times were for people. He learned what a square meal was. This is what he told me. It was an OXO cube. He saw many families who were having hard times. And he saw as well how his mother was always concerned about those who needed help. And she was always finding practical ways of helping. But by the mid-1950s, the houses had all gone from the Wharf Street area, City Council slum clearance programme, and of course all their customers had gone as well. So the Taylor family left the shop and moved up to Netherhall. Later on, though, they moved to St Matthew's estate when it was built. But the entertainment world still had the attraction for David, and his first professional engagement was at the Ayleston Club, where he received the princely sum of £2.10 for 3 shows, Saturday night, Sunday lunchtime and Sunday night. When he was 17, he decided to turn professional and went up to Leeds. This was at the beginning of the rock and roll era, but his mother was worried. Times were hard in the entertainment business, and he travelled all over the country. He met many other young people trying to make their name in the entertainment world. But with David, home ties kept bringing him back to Leicester. Mum and Dad persuaded David to get what they called a proper job. So he worked in soft furnishings in 2 of the major city stores. But again, the stage called to him, and this time it was London. He was promised contacts and demos, and he worked there one-night stands and did the pubs during that period of time. But I think David always admits that that was the loneliest time of his life. Although he worked at that time with many people who have now become famous names within the showbiz world. Again, he came back to Leicester, this time a job selling shoes with one of the major local shoe manufacturing companies. And it was here that he met Margaret, who was doing an in-between jobs before starting the nursing training. But again, David went back to the stage, this time up north to the Northern Club circuit, and also doing seasons in the shows in the holiday camp. By the mid-1960s, David was plagued with a childhood complaint, usually a nose and throat problem, and went in for a nose operation to the General Hospital. And who was working there? Margaret. Once again they met. But I first met David in 1970, which was quite a busy year for me. It was the first time that I stood for the City Council. I returned home one night early in April from canvassing, as one does when one stands for councils. And there was a phone message from the party agent. Someone wanted to join the party. I looked at the address, 2 streets down the road. I thought, can't miss this one. Always looking for people to help. So I knocked on the door with a membership form at 9:30 p.m. that night. Yes, it was Dave's front door. He told me his uncle had been over from Canada and advised him to join the Labour Party if he wanted. He was so keen on wanting to help people. And he'd also, by chance, my election address had dropped through the door that day. I was grateful that it was mine and nobody else's, perhaps, because it may have changed the whole course of his career. He asked me if there was anything he could do to help in the election campaign. Little did he know what he was saying and letting himself in for. And I said, yes. When are you available? Not wanting to push him too much. Tomorrow night, 6 o'clock? Yes, said Dave. And have you transport? Oh, yes, said Dave. Gosh, I thought, I'll find an enthusiastic young person and a car. The next evening, Dave started his political career. He soon learned to persuading people to have posters up. He was great as well in getting old people to go and vote, and I think it was his experience of delivering meals on wheels that had helped him with that. When I was elected in May 1970, we immediately went into the general election campaign, and this is where Dave had a crash course on electioneering. I left him in charge of posters. With his enthusiasm, the red posters spread over the old South West Leicester constituency as though a circus had hit town. I then persuaded him to take over the job of ward secretary. Those people that have been in our party know the usual course of these jobs that are given to people. If they're enthusiastic, they always get the secretary's job. But anyway, David learnt his politics from the grassroots. And by 1971, we persuaded Dave to stand for council in North Braunston. And in May that year, he joined me on the city council. In 1972, when the new social services department was set up, David became vice chair to Lily Marriott on the social services committee, an area of work that he has made many contributions to and has continued to do so in his capacity as a county councillor. His knowledge of social services is second to none. He later became a county representative on the Health Authority. We all had our fun with David, and I know there's some people here from North Braunston. We affectionately call him Dr. David, because he's always advising people on their ills and their cures. David's always been a good ward councillor and particularly a good colleague to me. He's always responded to an emergency. A phone call, Dave, can you help? Can we visit so-and-so? Okay, see you in a few minutes. And off we would go, whatever the time of the day or night. I know this is a very proud day for the Taylor family. Margaret will make an excellent Lady Mayoress, and their boys, Wayne, Corey and Philip, will not only have a day to remember, but a year to remember. It's great that two of David's aunts are present tonight to share this special occasion with him, Auntie Magda and Auntie Nell. And of course from his great friend and very long-standing friend from the world of show business, Barry Young. David, like us, has great respect for this high office of Lord Mayor of the City of Leicester, and I know he will carry out his duty with flair, enthusiasm and dignity. His mum and dad would have been proud of him. David and Margaret, have a happy year, and Lord Mayor, I have the greatest of pleasure in moving David Anthony Taylor as Lord Mayor of Leicester for the ensuing year.
Second Councillor David Anthony Taylor's nomination.
When I joined this council in 1976, David Taylor had already served 5 years on the council and had settled himself quite firmly into recreation and housing. Both committees suited him well due to his natural preference, I've always felt, for people rather than politics. I had the pleasure of serving with David on the Housing Committee from '76 and soon became aware of his care and concern for people, not only of his own ward in Braunston, but also the people throughout this city. I soon found that David enjoyed his pint, and I've spent many a happy hour with David in the Durham office after committee meetings. And I found once more that David rarely spoke of politics, but often spoke of his concern and his suggestions of how we as councillors, regardless of political party, could improve the lot of the citizens of Leicester. In 1979, I joined the Recreation Committee, where David, by then, was Vice Chairman. And I soon became Shadow Chairman. And in those days, most delegated decisions were entrusted to Chairman, Vice Chairman and Shadow Chairman. I'm delighted my Lord Mayor to see the Chairman. I worked very closely with David at this time over a lot of matters, and I think it's fair to say that the present high standards of the recreation provision in this city, due to the hard work and foresight of councillors like David Taylor, who worked so hard around that period. It wasn't always easy, and on one occasion, things weren't going as well as we thought they would be in one of the Afro-Caribbean projects. And David and I have often laughed about this. A delegation led by Ray Flint visited them one evening, and Ray read the riot act, and then withdrew and left David Taylor and I to sort the problems out. Well, things were very frosty. We never saw a smile. After a couple of meetings, we got round to the problem of what did we do with members who didn't toe the line. Well, David, being very careful not to offend anybody, described a sort of record whereby names were added of those who stepped out of the line, and these people shouldn't be involved in club activities, etc. And after about 5 minutes, one of the members of the committee smiled broadly at David and said, "I can't think of another word either," and laughed. Before long we were all laughing. The ice had broken, and from that day forth, David was totally accepted as a valued member of that committee. Well, frank and fair discussion soon took place, and soon we found David, in fact, and he still does on occasions, fight in the corner for that particular organisation against the council. And I feel sure that although David has served on that committee, and many more like it, I only use this one as an example, over the years, although David is only, in theory, representing the council, they're very proud of David and the fact that he has risen to the first citizen of the city. Let's now turn to Margaret Taylor, the Lady Mayor's elect. Margaret has a very busy life devoted to her work in nursing and to the bringing up of their 3 children. While still finding time, I'm told, to involve herself in politics through the women's section of the local Labour Party. As a nurse, Margaret's duties were many and varied. She has worked on the district and in general nursing, and currently has a very responsible job as manager of airport. Margaret has been a tremendous support to David in everything he has undertaken, particularly his duties as councillor both on the city and the county councils. And amazingly, although most of the time I've known David, he's described Margaret as his ex-wife, she's often been so prominent that it's been very hard to believe. Far more prominent often than many other councillors were. And I know that at time of need, Margaret has always been there to support David. I mentioned earlier their 3 children. Yes, my Lord Mayor, David and Margaret have brought up 3 boys. Janet, in fact, has already mentioned them. Wayne, Corrie and Philip, who have now all grown up in fine young men, of which I know both David and Margaret are justly proud. But I also know that these 3 young men will be a tower of strength to David and Margaret in the busy year ahead. My Lord Mayor, I've often said there are no bad Lord Mayors. There are only good Lord Mayors and great Lord Mayors. And I'm sure that David, with Margaret's support, will, along with yourself, my Lord Mayor, become yet another great Lord Mayor of this city.
put to the Council the motion that Councillor David Anthony Taylor be elected to serve as Lord Mayor of the City for the ensuing year. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. The contrary, no. That motion is carried, and Councillor David Anthony Taylor has been duly elected.
Just going to sneak in though, isn't it? I've thought about that.
A jacket, when you wear jackets and come down out, it tends to sneak in the jacket. So we need to keep coming out.
Kinley thing is one. Never ever eat it. My children have been this way because they won't be able to this is
Yes, you've been good to fight. I'd like to do the old handshake. Come in nice and tight if you come in nice and tight. There we go. Alright, all this way. Okay. A bit. Just hold your head normal. Alright. Okay.
Nice big smile.
Nice big smile. Just do one last bit.
Okay. Thanks.
Can I just before you charge up, can I just get a quick picture of the two? Smile. Here we go. Right. Nice, thank you. Okay. Next one.
Just sitting here, aren't you? So I'm just going in there.
Lord Mayor, may it please you to make and subscribe the declaration of acceptance to the office of Lord Mayor.
I, David Anthony Taylor, having been elected Lord Mayor of Leicester, hereby declare that I take the said office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties thereof according to the best of my judgment and ability. My Lord Bishop, Class Lord Mayors, Members of Council, ladies and gentlemen. It's most kind of you, Councillor Setchfield, and you too, Councillor Johnson, to speak so generously of me, and I thank you both, Councillor Setchfield for proposing me as Lord Mayor, and you, Councillor Johnson, for seconding. Thank you. I was born and brought up in Leicester, and it's certainly not an easy task to find the words that will convey to you my pride at being appointed to this important office. But I can assure all the people of Leicester that I shall carry out my duties with dignity and work hard and diligently for them. The people of Leicester have earned a remarkable reputation in supporting charitable causes and special events, and once again they've lived up to this fine reputation in the support which has been forthcoming for the Special Olympic Games to be hosted in our city this summer. And I will certainly endeavour to support the Games as much as possible from its official opening on Saturday the 19th of August. It's very evident that recreational facilities and support staff we're able to offer within our city compare very favourably with other major centres in Great Britain, as we, for example, not only successfully won our bid to host the Special Olympics, but also the British Transplant Games, which will be taking place at the Saffron Lane Sports Centre and other venues at the end of July. All members of the community have worked closely together, and the enjoyment and satisfaction of close cooperation, I'm sure, will not cease as I ask all the people of Leicester to join me in fundraising for this year's Lord Mayor's Appeal. A very exciting project, the Playmobil Appeal. Try saying that when you've had a cup. I did hear this morning actually that the police were going to use that instead of the breathalyzer now. Say that 3 times. The Playmobil Appeal is a playbus for all children, especially those with disadvantages and disabilities. I have always been actively involved with the needs of children, having been a member of the City's Adventure Playground Committee and the Play Council, which came on after it, together with my work as a county councillor, especially on the social services and education committees. Experts agree that play is an essential part of a child's development, but often there are not safe places where children can enjoy themselves. And for children with disabilities, safe and accessible play areas are even harder to find. When I considered the options, I devised quite a revolutionary concept that a play centre on wheels, the Playmobile, which would visit the children where they live, what we call the Heineken approach, reaching those parts of the community which other provisions cannot reach. I didn't understand that one. I suppose I haven't got the right accent to do it. This is no ordinary mobile project. It will be specially designed to meet special needs. Essentially, it will consist of a double-decker bus which will be converted using the latest state-of-the-art high technology design skills and materials. The lower deck will be a soft play cave, sand and water play, toilet facilities and storage. And upstairs there will be a kitchen area, quiet play space, tabletop space for computer games, etc. A special feature of it is that all aspects of the bus will be designed with the needs of children with disabilities in mind. This includes not only an access lift to the lower deck, but a lift to the upper deck, which will enable children in wheelchairs to enjoy, probably for the first time in their lives, the experience of being on the top deck of a double-decker bus. Something that most of us in this chamber take for granted. And at the rear of the top deck will be an inflatable slide, a bit like an escape chute from an aeroplane. Attached to the side of the bus will be a huge awning, and probably one that actually blows up, which will allow play in all weathers, as a shade from the sun, or more likely protection from the rain. And as a highlight, the bus itself will tow its own trailer, which itself can be opened up into a puppet theatre. But in the main contains a totally soft play environment, which in the space of about 30 minutes can be transformed into a children's fantasy land of colour, sound, texture, shape, where all the children can play together. Rolling, jumping, hiding, crawling, bounding, all in one of the safest play areas ever devised. But the real beauty of the project is its mobility and the adaptability. Instead of children coming to play, the Playmobil will visit them, wherever they live, in the inner city or on the outer estates, or possibly even out into the countryside. Now comes the hard bit. The appeal will aim to raise £600,000 to purchase and convert the bus. One of the biggest problems with such projects is that they have been done before as play buses, that then they run out of money and they haven't got anybody to run them. So what we're going to do, we're going to form a charitable trust to put money into it, so that the Playmobil will be funded for the next 20 to 30 years. I hope it's just about seen me out. The Playmobil appeal is a brilliant first for Leicester. So I ask everybody to please support the most exciting and innovative play project for children that we have ever seen in Leicestershire, or Leicester. I shall look forward to everybody's help, especially the support of the media, BBC Radio Leicester and Leicester Sound, and in particular the Leicester Mercury, because the Leicester Mercury staff have already started to help me. They've already provided me with information, and also they're doing a logo for us as well. And they've always been and already been a tremendous asset. I hope you can appreciate by now my enthusiasm for this year's Lord Mayor's appeal. And I've set a date aside to formally launch the appeal. And this will be Tuesday the 6th of June at 3:30 in the Town Hall Square. The majority of the redesign work will be finished by then and completed, we hope. Looking at the chair of works, please get them working nice and hard so that we get it, because what we are going to do on that particular afternoon is to give everybody an idea of the scope of the appeal. I've arranged for a full-size play bus from Mencap in Bristol to be available for everyone to inspect, and a specially designed three-dimensional scale model of our own bus will also be there, plus entertainment and fun rides for the children. The invitation for the 6th is open to everyone, especially school children, to attend, and I know that we shall enjoy working together in fundraising for this year's appeal, the Lord Mayor's Playmobil appeal. We will be having inflatables, etc. in Town Hall Square. I want to turn it in the new Town Hall Square, just for one afternoon, into a giant children's playground, just for the afternoon. A special thank you to Sally Ann and Pamela from Emily Fortey School who came and presented the bouquets to retiring Lady Mayoress and our new Lady Mayoress. In conclusion, I thank you all for your support this evening. The only twinge of sadness, and when Janet was moving it, I nearly went.
Hello.
Hello, Sally.
Right. You going there?
Yes, in a minute. The only twinge of sadness for me is that my mum and dad, Alf and Irene, or Reen as we all know, who are not with us anymore, cannot be with us tonight, because I know that our friends that are here with us know exactly what my mum and my dad would have said about this ceremony this evening. Once again, members of council, guests, I once again pledge that to carry out my duties as Lord Mayor of this city, ably assisted by Margaret, as my Lady Mayoress, to the very best of my ability. I look forward to my year of office when we will strive to maintain the tradition and dignity of the office of Lord Mayor of the City of Leicester, with, I hope, a little bit of fun. I think too many people take themselves a little bit too seriously at times. We need the dignity, but I hope we can have the fun too. So with that, members, guests, thank you very much. The next item of business is to appoint a member of council to be High Bailiff for the next municipal year. May I have a nomination, please?
Hello, Mayor. I wish to move that Councillor Colin Grundy be appointed High Bailiff of this city for the ensuing year.
My Lord Mayor.
I'm here for another couple of minutes.
It gives me the very greatest pleasure, my Lord Mayor, to second the nomination of Councillor Grundy. As my last act as High Bailiff, it is a joy to second my successor. My Lord Mayor, I hope that he has a wonderful and happy year, and I'm delighted to second the nomination for the ensuing year.
Are there any further nominations? As there are no further nominations, I put to the council the motion that Councillor Colin Grundy be appointed High Bailiff of this city for the ensuing year. All those in favour? Oh, yeah, that's it. No, we don't. Right. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Contrary? As there are no, I declare the motion carried and that Councillor Grundy is duly elected. Congratulations.
Yes, Lord Mayor, there wasn't even time for a quick cigarette. Lord Mayor, I'll try and be brief, although as probably as members of council know that over the past year or so, when somebody starts off, my Lord Mayor, I'll be brief. It's nothing to do with being succinct, and brevity is completely lacking. When Henry Dunphy told me of this, he said it would be good for me, good for West Coast, and since there were no executions, it would be a bit of a sinecure. He didn't tell me, though, about the happy hours that you're going to have, entertaining and being entertained by the judiciary. Didn't tell me that I'd be expected to do anything that the Lord Mayor and the Deputy Lord Mayor wouldn't pick up. For example, the Lord Mayor has already got me to volunteer for one of his sponsorships. It's skydiving or... And what's more, I've heard that the Braunston, Newcastle and Matthew are going to ensure the parachute doesn't go. Lord Mayor, there is another thing as well. Councillor Derby sits. And whenever the cry went up, my Lord Mayor, I'll be brief, I was able to slip out quite unobtrusively into the back to have a cup of tea provided quite well by Councillor Thomas, and there to join the latest harassed and victimised minority, the smokers, before returning to the chamber. But finally, Lord Mayor, could I ask a question? I do thank the council for electing me to the High Bailiff. But this question I'd like to put to the Chief Executive or to the City Attorney. I think everybody probably read in the Mercury last Saturday that my predecessor, Councillor Kimberlin, is going to refuse probably to pay his fine for parking on the double yellow line. He's joining of the Anti-Law and Order Brigade. And if he does, then obviously his goods and assets or chattels are going to be confiscated. I'd like to know, will that be one of my first jobs?
Next item of business is the appointment to the Deputy Lord Mayor. I move that Councillor Guy Joseph Patrick McKenna Collis be appointed Deputy Lord Mayor in the ensuing year. Councillor Mullins.
Second, Lord Mayor.
Are there any further nominations?
Yeah.
As there are no further nominations, I put to the council the motion that Councillor Guy Joseph Patrick McKenna Collis be appointed Deputy Lord Mayor for the ensuing year. All in favour, please say aye. Aye. Contrary? I declare that motion carried.
My Lord Mayor, may it please the Deputy Lord Mayor to make and subscribe the declaration of acceptance of the office of Deputy Lord Mayor.
I, Guy Joseph Patrick McKenna Collis, having been duly elected to the office of Deputy Lord Mayor of the City of Leicester, hereby declare that I take the said office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties thereof according to the best of my judgment and ability. Very much for electing me to the office of Deputy Lord Mayor.
I wish to inform Council that I have appointed the Reverend Canon John Tonkin as my chaplain for the ensuing year. Councillor Johnson.
My Lord Mayor, I move that the City Council congratulate Councillor Guy Joseph Patrick McKenna Collis on the manner in which he has undertaken the duties of the high office of the Lord Mayor of the City of Leicester. In a year when continuing restrictions on expenditure by local authorities, the challenge of the Local Government Act 1988, the Local Government Finance Act 1988, placed the Council under considerable strain, Councillor Collis presided over all our meetings with outstanding impartiality. Twinning activities continued during his year of office. He visited the twin cities of Krefeld and Strasbourg in September and August. The traditional visits to the 16th Signal Regiment in Germany and the 2nd Battalion of the Royal Anglian Regiment in Northern Ireland. In addition to the World Jain Congress held in July in Leicester, and the visit to the city of Archbishop Barbarito, Apostolic Pronuncio, this year of office was also notable for the large number of visitors who came to Leicester from many parts of the world. All were received by the Lord Mayor with cordiality and dignity. The year was notable for anniversaries. Councillor Collis took part in the 800th anniversary celebration of the City of London, met the Duchess of Gloucester at the 475th anniversary of Wigston Hospital, and held receptions for the Golden Jubilees of the Women's Royal Voluntary Service, the Red Cross and British Midland Airways. For the enthusiasm and devotion to duty with which the Lord Mayor and his Lady Mayoress carried out their official duties, the Council conveyed to Councillor Collis their grateful thanks.
Put to Council the resolution of thanks. Councillor Billy.
Well, Lord Mayor, it's surprising for you to miss out your friends. My Lord Bishop, Pastoral Mayors and Lady Mayoresses, members of the City Council, ladies and gentlemen, in seconding the vote of thanks to the retiring Lord Mayor, may I first of all congratulate you on your election to the chair. I won't on this occasion take up the point that Councillor Johnson made about what I call poll tax, could I speak plain English, but let that go. But can I say, my Lord Mayor, that Guy Collis, like his predecessors, has been a very busy first citizen and has brought honour to himself and as well as upholding the pride and prestige of our city of Leicester. He has made the usual round of visits to many projects in Leicester where the presence of our Lord Mayor, everybody's Lord Mayor in this city, is one of the great highlights of the year, and he has given praise and encouragement to many of our people who are single-minded in their efforts to serve their fellow citizens, and we ought to be grateful for that. He has paid visits to Strasbourg and to Krefeld to strengthen our ties with our continental twins, and has visited our young men serving with the 2nd Battalion of the Royal Anglian Regiment in an area of enormous stress. Besides furthering the good relations between the various ethnic groups that make Leicester a shining example to the whole world, he has been involved in forging new links between Leicester and that dear land across the Irish Sea from whence he originated in the shape of the visit of the Mayor of Kilkenny. I have had the privilege, my Lord Mayor, of attending a number of functions at which Guy Collis has been present, and I have been most impressed with the exemplary manner in which he has carried out his duties. My Lord Mayor, Guy Collis has indeed carried on the good work of most, and modestly forbids me to say all of his predecessors. He hands on the torch to you now, and this ancient city of Leicester, for which we have so much affection and so much pride, will not easily forget the year of office of Guy Collis. Thank you.
I put to the Council the resolution of thanks. All in favour, please say aye. Aye. Okay, carried.
My Lord Mayor, my Lord Bishop, past Lord Mayors, ladies and gentlemen, may I first of all add my congratulations, my Lord Mayor, to those which you have already received. I hope that for the Lady Mayoress and yourself, this is a most happy and interesting year, and that you may have the very best of health with which to enjoy it. I am very grateful to Councillor Mike Johnson and Councillor Billington for their very kind words. As Mike Johnson has said, this has been a year of especially great anniversaries. Especially, I recall the Leicester 400 and all the other anniversaries which Councillor Johnson has mentioned. One event he mentioned was the 800th anniversary of the establishment of the Lord Mayoralty of London, and Patricia and I went down to the Mansion House and to the Guildhall. It was very pleasant meeting the Duke of Edinburgh. He had a little difficulty quite understanding what relationship Patricia was to me. The word consort was used, and he was a little confused, but we set his mind at rest that everything was in order. It was very interesting too to meet all the different Lord Mayors from all over England and Wales, the Lord Mayor of Belfast and the Lord Provost from Scotland. Seeing so many of them all standing in the same place at the same time, I was very tempted to start a trade union on the spot. One of the most interesting days, my Lord Mayor, was only on Monday of this week, when with Derek Mellor, the Chief Executive, I visited the 2nd Royal Anglians in Belfast, as Councillor Billington has mentioned. They're carrying out a very hard, demanding job very well. Conditions, as you know, and as we saw, are not at all pleasant, but their morale and spirits remain very high. They're well spoken of in the area, both by the police and by the civilians. They have met death and very serious injury with great courage. Leicester, and indeed every other place from which they come, can be very proud of. Even while we were there, an incident took place on their patch, no doubt as a result of the local elections which were then immediately ahead. A rocket launcher was fired on a Sinn Féin advice centre in Ardoyne. My Lord Mayor, if I may add on a slightly less sombre note, I think that Derek Mellor can confirm that I didn't disgrace myself on the range. I haven't forgotten how it's done, although I must confess a preference for the Lee Enfield rifle rather than the one which I had to use. And I was thinking while we were there, my Lord Mayor, when we were in the mess and the news came through that a rocket launcher had been fired on an advice centre during this election, I thought, we have our election problems in Leicester. We have nothing like that. I may have 7 reluctant voters in Humberston. Nobody fires rocket launchers at me. My Lord Mayor, I wish to thank very much all the people who have so very generously contributed to my charity, the community care work of Age Concern. It was not perhaps the best year for an appeal, with so much else happening and so many disasters. But I suppose it's all money that would not otherwise have been raised, and I know that every penny will be well used by Age Concern. My Lord Mayor, I wish to thank very much Pat Cusack, Ernie Tate, and all the other officials at Age Concern. They are, of course, professional people carrying out a professional job in a professional way, but the way they go about their duties, it's very much more than that. It's invested with real devotion, with real care, with real spirit, and I thank them very much for the way in which they have helped me. My Lord Mayor, in 1640, a namesake of yours, a bloke called John Taylor, who was known as the water poet, spent 9 weeks at the Blue Boar Inn here in Leicester.
Drunk.
Remarked on how charitable and careful the people of Leicester were in providing for the poor and the needy. And 350 years later, the people are just as generous. And may I, my Lord Mayor, add just one thing about this water poet. I won't make any comment on what he said. I'll just tell you what he said and leave it with you. He also said that in the foulest weather, a man may walk all over Leicester in a pair of slippers and never wet his feet. I won't say any more about my year of office because I let you into a secret now. When a couple of years have elapsed, and I can look back upon the year dispassionately, I intend to at least try to write a book about it, so I won't spoil it for you. My Lord Mayor, all sorts of people are writing books today. Former government ministers, former company directors, former parliamentary researchers. So I thought, why shouldn't a former Lord Mayor add to the list? Before I finish, my Lord Mayor, I must express a few thanks. And first of all, I want to thank very sincerely all the members of the City Council who gave me the opportunity to do this job. I think perhaps some of you know that it's no secret that chairing the monthly meeting was not exactly my favourite job. And I admit that there were shortcomings. I know I cut one or two of you off in your prime. I'm very sorry about that. I overlooked one or two of you, but I think you'll have to agree that I did it impartially. I must thank Patricia for her help and support. I know it wasn't always easy. I wish to thank Gordon Palmer and Mrs. Palmer, the Deputy Lord Mayor and his wife, for their continued help, and whenever they were asked to do anything they rose to the occasion, as did of course the High Bailiff, Councillor Peter Kimberlin and Mrs. Kimberlin. I don't know whether he's here. Why, I can see him now. I wish to thank Stanley Smith for his knowledge, patience and long suffering with a very awkward Lord Mayor, and also to Mrs. Margaret McArdle, upon whose shoulders Stanley's mantle fell. She has proved a very worthy successor, and that is saying something. I wish to thank also Valerie and Sally in the office, Thelma in the city rooms for all their work, Father Shanahan, who never sent me to the bishop once, to John and Larry, chauffeurs extraordinary, who always got me to almost 750 engagements at exactly the right time, and that is some effort. Even when we travelled on the M1 a couple of times and we got really snarled up in terrible traffic, somehow or other we managed to arrive at the right place at just the right time. And lastly, my Lord Mayor, may I please thank very especially our indefatigable Chief Executive, Derek Mellor. I've mentioned that I was not exactly happy always at the monthly meeting, and sometimes I frankly didn't see how we were going to get out of the next item, but Derek Mellor guided me across some very thin ice, and only once did we get our feet wet, when the council had to adjourn for some time, and I suppose it could have been worse. I'm also grateful to Derek Mellor for his help in Strasbourg and Northern Ireland. One of the things, of course, which he does on those occasions is to look after the chain. And as you know, my Lord Mayor, or as you will certainly find out, the chain is far more important job for me at Crefeld, and it was there, perhaps I shouldn't say this at Stanley Smith's hearing, but one night we were separated deliberately. It wasn't a quarrel or anything. He went to one function, I went to another, and I missed the place where I was supposed to hand in the chain. So I took it upstairs to the bedroom with me and I put it in a safe place. I woke up in the night and found a safer place. Then I went back to sleep again. I woke up in the morning and I went to the original safe. Find a chain. I had the father and mother of a sinking fee. My Lord Mayor, you may remember something that Prospero said in the Tempest. I don't mind if you did. I had to look it up myself. He said, "You do look, my son." He wasn't talking to a Lord Mayor. He said, "You do look, my son, in a moved sort, as if you were dismayed. Be cheerful, sir. Our revels now are ended. And you will be glad to hear that I am coming to the end of my remarks and also at the end of my year. And I have to say, my Lord Mayor, that I'm very cheerful about it. I'm glad to have done it, but I have to admit I'm not sorry it's over. So good luck, my Lord Mayor. Preserve the traditions. Keep on going when the rest have stopped. And as Dame Julian of Norwich said many years ago, all manner of things shall be well.
Certain subcommittees of the Policy and Resources Committee to be increased, and that the provision of Standing Order 27H be suspended to enable chairs, vice chairs and members of committees and subcommittees to take up office immediately.
All those in favour? Seconded.
Seconded, my Lord Mayor.
All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Contrary? Carried. Item number 9, appointment of committees. Councillor Newitt.
I move that the chairs, vice chairs and members be appointed to serve on various standing committees and subcommittees of the Council in accordance with the list circulated to members of the Council.
Councillor Mothers.
Seconded, my Lord Mayor.
All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Carried. Nominations have been received for the Environment, Health and Public Control Committee and Policy and Resources, Employment and Urban Policies Subcommittee, the Planning Committee and the Planning Development Control Subcommittees in accordance with lists circulated to members at this meeting. Are there any further nominations? No further nominations. I declare nominations closed and announce that there will be a secret ballot in respect of appointments to these committees and subcommittees, and members should vote on the ballot papers provided for not more than 14 of the 15 nominations. Will you circulate these ballot papers? Other ayes? Contrary? I would like to thank members and guests for attending, and I now declare the meeting closed. I hope that you will all join me across at the city rooms. For people who remember it's the county rooms, it's the same place, but it's across in the marketplace. You'll all join us over there. I think some of you may have quite a surprise. We'll see you all later.
my card bearer.
The last when you went across the city route to the refreshments already waiting.
got after.